Hello, welcome to the Hack4Good, Malta's first one. Hopefully we keep on doing this regularly. They organize it once a year, and hopefully we'll keep remaining part of this, and hopefully we can work together again for the next few versions. Sean? Next slide. Well, first of all, I want to say thank you to the participants and to the sponsors and the judges and the mentors. Without them, this wouldn't have been possible. And together, we spent quite a few hours working and got to know each other. And hopefully, we'll have some good products for the NGOs, which they will eventually use in the real world. Next one. So, globally, over this weekend, there was 96,000 man hours over the weekend on work for NGOs. That's a total of one person working for 46 years straight. And over 2,000 participants worldwide. In Malta, we had 2 sleepless nights, and one person slept very, very little. And we also had 6 huge pizzas, which we managed to finish. All right, next slide. So why do organizers Hack4Good? First of all, for social good, we're managing to give something back to the community. Hopefully, like I said, it will be used in the real world scenario. And we'll also get to know more what the NGOs are looking for and what they need and how we can actually contribute. We're also building a local community of developers and people working on startups and this sort of stuff. And eventually, I hope that we could work together again, even on the next editions or other hackathons which we'll be organizing. We also form part of the global community together with Geeklist, which is a huge community built of developers, investors, and different persons who together we could work together to actually make some of our projects actually happen. And obviously, some of you came for the free t-shirts. We'd like to welcome our judges, Ben McClure from Takeoff, and from Microsoft. Unfortunately, Dr. Sigurd Zamik was unable to attend the judging. So we've got Lars who will be taking this place. Before I first get started, I just wanted to know that we judged on the impact of the project and the execution, how well they actually built it in these 48 hours, and what was the implementation and how creative they were in actually applying the idea. So, good. You will call on the compensation. I check with the handle. No. All right.
Okay. So our projects were going for good. I'm good on Claude here is the main developer who's built the site. We grabbed the idea from Nathan, basically from Inspire, where he explained to us that sites like Simply Giving or Virgin Money Giving were platforms through where people could raise money, but the problem, there were 2 problems mainly. One were the fees that applied, for example, PayPal and credit cards, around 2%, I think. And the other one was increased features. So the idea to get rid of all the fees, what we've done basically is we're using only Bitcoins, which is the internet currency. There are no fees involved. The maximum percentage on per transaction is 1%, but we're using Coinbase's wallet that up to 1 million donation, there are no fees.
$1 million.
$1 million. Now, we have looked a lot to Kickstarter, for example. So the idea is for each project to recognize all the donators. So if you donate to that project, your name will be shown on the project page. You can set up your target as well, and you'll see a thermometer. At the moment, we haven't had time to implement it, but that's the idea, to basically spread your page and share it on your Facebook account or Twitter account, how that integrated, and have some kind of targets that people are motivated towards donating, and the recognition behind it. Because at the moment, it's another exercise. By the way, other sites use basic, credit card, Visa, or PayPal to make the transaction. So what Claude is going to be doing now is showing a little bit how the site works.
So I'm going to walk you through the process of creating a fundraiser and donating money to this fundraiser. So basically, this I will put of the slides on the internet, so if you want to access the URL as well, you have laptops. So basically, just gonna access through Facebook. So it didn't ask you for permissions because I have already given it permissions before. So here are 3 buttons. One of them is called launch fundraise. So I'm going to create this, click on this button and whatever, tell the site that I want to create my own fundraiser. So basically, I don't know, huge cancer. So the email is the email is going to be used to create the wallet on Coinbase.com. Okay, so when you ever create a fundraiser, the merchant account is created on Coinbase, and wallet is associated. A Bitcoin wallet is associated with the merchant account. Who's familiar with Bitcoin? Just can I have a show of hands? Everyone in general. Bitcoin. So you know that basically that's the coin. You never used it, but you have idea of the concept.
Yes.
Okay.
So Coinbase is a Bitcoin
wallet.
wallet.
Yeah.
And it is a merchant account as well, so you can get money as a merchant account. You can get money from several sources.
Okay.
And you can, if you want, you can change them to dollars, for example.
Okay.
So that's the point. That's the next thing. It's change to dollars.
So if I want to use Bitcoins, I go to Coinbase.
If you want to buy Bitcoin, to create a wallet,
Yes.
you use Coinbase. Yeah. And if you want to have a merchant account, use Coinbase as well.
There are other wallets, but Coinbase is, you don't need to download the software. You can use it directly online. It's secure. They store the data offline, which others don't. So,
Okay.
So, save address. The password is the password that's the fundraiser is going to use to access this wallet. Remember, when we click on this button on the register, this website is going to create a merchant account on Coinbase. So password is going to actually needs to be a strange password because for security reasons. So just copy and pasted it. Check your organization. Okay. Inspire description. I want to instead.
Yeah, that's good. Pros.
Yeah, there has. Yeah, we're talking about this. There needs to be made some aspect of curation or a select list of NGOs on the website.
Right.
There needs to be some level of trust. But yeah, ideally, people can also create their own private fundraisers. And I would imagine there would be micro donations, like money donations, and there would be no costs, these small donations. Anyway, so yeah, I click on register, and hopefully it won't finish. Yeah, so it's created, and so under what the server did, it created a wallet on Coinbase.com. So now let's imagine that I'm a rich guy who wants to donate money to this, to our fundraise. I go to Discover, and there's this very small list of fundraisers. I look at them, I pick ones I like. For example, let's pick this one. Okay, this again, this is what we could do in 2 days, but I did there we could attach media like what Kickstarter does, like videos, for example. And yeah, so there we have, for example, the amount of people who donated. I didn't here there's the amount of money donated, and we have made 2 options. To donate anonymously or to donate publicly. Because some people like to stroke their own ego, like to show off they gave money. Again, in the future, we would want to share this with the social network that you donated money.
Next to your name, you will have the amount of bitcoins.
By the way, that's not total, that's to do.
I thought it was a Japanese term.
Yeah.
Lack of time.
It's full. That's like, I donated everything, please.
So there's these 2 buttons, which took me a lot of time to create, because when I click on this button, for example, donate anonymously, page opens, and this page comes from the Coinbase.
This is Coinbase now?
This is Coinbase now. Select the amount you want to donate, for example, 20 euros. And here is the equivalent amount in bitcoins. There are 2 ways of how we can pay. One is by paying from your own wallet, which can be hosted on your laptop, for example, or using Coinbase to perform the payment. So I'm not going to do the payment because, first of all, I have no wallet and I don't want to buy bitcoins.
So you don't trust the charity? So does that mean you have to be buying bitcoins now, or are you actually completing the transaction where you buy your?
So you could have an existing. So this case, I don't have an existing account on Coinbase. Yeah. So the donor could, if he has an existing account, would just donate money from his wallet on Coinbase, or from his wallet on the laptop. On his laptop, if he wants to. If he doesn't have bitcoins at all, he can choose to create his own wallet again on the laptop or Coinbase or whatever.
And they've actually included a link here that explains how you can.
Yeah, don't have any Bitcoin. It makes it very easy to create your own Bitcoin. It's very easy to use the site, and the API is very easy as well. It's very user friendly. So once I donate, that's it. The money goes to the merchant account. And the fundraiser can pull out the money in dollars or whatever. And if he wants to show up his name, it can just click on instead of donates publicly, which is the same thing, basic same page, but here he gets to see his name here. Let's get my name here, but anyway. So yeah. That's the proof of concept. It works if you want to gain access to the site. It's coin4good.herokuweb.com to be on race. Wondering.
And just to wrap up, maybe I had in mind we want to also talk about like the advantages of Coin4Good versus other similar sites. One would be the use of Bitcoin to pay. I mean, maybe it's not a great deal at the moment, and Bitcoin is keeping up, and it's something new, it's innovative, so it creates noise. We think that that would help to target a younger audience as well, a more tech-savvy audience. It accepts micro donations, so you can actually donate very, very little with a very different. What else? We were thinking obviously about including the feature of expanding to your social network.
And you don't need a bank account. So I don't know if for some reason you can't create a bank account on a create a bank account, you just create a simple wallet. There's the barrier for creating a wallet is very low.
Something important to note as well is that you can automatically cash out the money. There's like an option where you can say, I want to cash out automatically every time I receive a Bitcoin. Or you can store your bits into your wallet, and since there is some currency volatility, you can actually make it more money if you want to exchange them.
So you can sell Bitcoins.
Exactly. Okay. You're essentially selling Bitcoin. But if you want to be secure on that currency exchange, you can fix it. Yeah.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
Yes.
And how does it? I mean, excuse my ignorance on the price. When will they receive money to share this?
Immediately. Immediately. So on the donate button, it receives it immediately. Or after 5 minutes, because there needs to be some coordination between nodes in the Bitcoin network. But
anything additional charges?
There are very minor charges, but very minor compared to the normal charges that one gets when they pay by Ether.
The charge is maximum 1% fee, but again, that's beyond the 1 million that you raise. And then there's another like 5 cents for the donator, actually, not for the.
Because when creating Bitcoins, people spend money to mine those Bitcoins, so they want to get some money from that. So they give you a Bitcoin.
So you already mentioned that Bitcoins are not that popular, especially in Malta.
Most of them are not popular.
How would you convince people? Because I guess there's 2 challenges here. You need to make people aware of the site and the way to contribute. I think potentially NGOs can market the site for you. But secondly, if I'm an old person that is interested in donating to this person, okay, maybe I'm computer savvy, but I'm not too up to date with this. How easy is it for me to, from cash with me, move it over to Bitcoins and donate, and then basically make sure I'm aware that once the feedback I've already from the NGO itself, that actually the money arrives to their account. Because ultimately here we know that it went to your site and
yes,
the money left. But I guess
Coinbase provides an API to confirm that the money got there. So you can confirm if that you get money from the NGO.
And setting up an account or buying Bitcoins is as easy as setting up an account with Bitcoin.
We are aiming for a young crowd, we're not aiming for old people.
Thank you.
I'm borderline. I don't know whether.
We're all borderline here, so.
In that case, no points.
It's a very nice demonstration of technologies, and it's amazing we've been able to do this within 48 hours. That's pretty brilliant.
And thanks to Kevin and where's Kevin? Yeah, they were from July and it's fantastic.
Right. And I'm not really that concerned that Bitcoin is not that popular in Malta yet. It will come here, obviously.
We're not aiming for, so we don't aim this to be more actually aim this to be global.
Yeah. But the NGO, I fail to see the NGO advantage. So, because there is no governing authority that verifies that the fundraising that's being done through this application is actually to a charitable organization.
Right. So
I could create 5 different charities in there, like Save Kittens and Save Penguins and Save Dolphins, right?
Yeah.
And then I could retire.
Yeah. So if we think that in the future, Nathan was actually, we were
Can I
talking
say if
about.
you want?
Yeah. I mean,
Every single country, especially the rest of the world, has a registration for organizations that are of charitable or non-profit nature.
Yes.
And this is because of money laundering, and it has its own verifications. So we are in Malta, we registered the Voluntary Organizations Commissioner, you would go to the account of the MFSA, and you would make sure that you audit your account, or if someone wants to see what you've been doing, so they can go and look.
Yes.
Now, what we need to put into the system, obviously 48 hours, is that with each country where this is registered, we would create a live list of what charities are registered. And you would find a way to cross-reference the name of the charity through a drop-down. Because if it's on the drop-down, then it's registered. It requires a bit of time, so if we can find a way to do it automatically, for example, the Voluntary Organizations Commissioner publishes a spreadsheet every month with the list of all the registered, and if they're struck off, then you go in and you're going to find drop-down.
No.
So that is a safeguard to a certain extent.
Because that's what I really need. Because within 10 minutes, you would have 10 million different charities in there. So the actual charitable organizations will drown. It's like finding a book in a library that's been misplaced. You won't be able to find the right charity.
I was thinking as well about for private fundraisers. Like I always met people that need help. And for example, my father, for example, has cancer, and I don't have enough money for this medicine. And maybe I'm in Africa. There are no one who can help me over there. Maybe I would like to notice that private fundraisers can create ones. Then, of course, the fundraisers created by the NGOs would be more trusted, but at least there's the option of private fundraisers.
I mean, it's crowd surfing or it's charity, right?
It's called funding.
I mean, it's the same with Kickstarter, really. You upload your project into Kickstarter, no one really knows if you are for real or just.
Yeah.
Then there was the media.
That's exactly my point. I'm trying to find where would the tool fit. What's required for this to be a unique offering? I mean, shaving off 20% of the small fee. Okay, fair enough. You shaved off 20% of the small fee. Fair enough. That's a contribution. But for this to be a charitable project, I need that link. The list that you register, or at least you can sort or do something like that. I'm interested in charity. I'm not interested in cheap crowdfunding.
Yeah,
That's the idea. The idea is to have 3 sections where you want to fundraise, you want to donate, or you're an NGO and you got your page, and people can donate straight to your NGO.
Yeah, but I'm sorry for beating probably a dead horse here, but I'm now a person who wants to donate. To me, I would assume that I am like other people, that I think it's 2 different things. Either I donate to charity, or I give money to whatever project that we don't really know that really exists. Nobody really knows if I'm going to save these kittens or not, right?
But I think the argument should be that how did you get to know about the site? The platform that we're trying to do is, the pitch that I prepared before was that there are people out there who want to make a difference, but they don't have the resources or the inclination to open their own bank account, and then have to provide feedback for the background, cash it in and give it to the charity, and be suspicious that someone kept a bit of the money and give it all to charity, and all these innuendos. So therefore, using this platform, where the wallet is owned by the charity, the money goes straight there.
Yeah.
And with practically 0 charge. So if I'm there on fundraising, I'm going to run the marathon, I'm going to send you a link to my page which says I'm raising money for charity or for cancer. So you will have the peace of mind that I've done the homework. Now, whether I have or not, if the site restricts people who can register against it and you can sign up, you will solve that problem. It doesn't allow the flexibility which they've come up with, which allows people to do in a form of online busking to a certain extent, or online daily to a certain extent, where people are. But that's the choice of the donor and the free will of the donor to give to something that is suspicious of us.
The reason why I keep on beating this probably half-dead horse is that it's wide open to fraud. But if you allow anybody to create wallets, because that money transfer is not going to be vested and it's not going to be taxed. It's a different thing if it's linked to a governing authority.
Yeah, but that's
And there is a certain level of oversight. No, but that's the problem with Bitcoin.
Yeah, that's
The problem with it is money laundering. It's funding crime, right?
Yes, but
So
there's
by
that
creating
side
something for good, you're helping somebody else do bad.
Maybe that's why I asked the question is how we notify from the NGO itself that thank you, we received the money back. For example, if I see Inspire over there, I mean, I trust Inspire. And the only thing I don't know is I'm not sure about the site, whether they're genuinely transferring the money to you. So maybe one suggestion would be good that the system automatically from Inspire notifies Inspire that someone here, there's a process in place that Inspire comes back to me and says, look, I've done this. So I can do it with €1 and then I say, oh, okay, this is really working. We do €10.
You can
This is just a channel here, I'm talking about.
Yeah,
you can actually go on our website and do that. You will receive automatically like saying thank you for your donation.
Right.
But by stating charges, what's the charge of the website, what's the payment gateway, and therefore it's a negative use for us because we will channel people to in a way create something which is more of a cult or an identity separate from the Inspire page.
And there's small organizations, as you were saying, which don't have the resources to build their own online platforms.
To open an image account, what costs €150 or something. Yeah. So if you're going to raise €150 first, yeah.
Right, so this wouldn't be branded as Inspire's website. Ah, okay. Because I thought this could be almost like a white label site that you would then brand as.
I just know you can put a skin on it.
Yeah.
It's not restricted to Inspire only as an
No, no.
I think that's better. It becomes important.
It's a platform.
But you know, I'm looking at what we need to judge here. I have two questions here. One of them is, you've already mentioned that Inspire has its own portal. How are you going to ensure that the community engages? Maybe simply linked to what I've asked before about Bitcoins, but this time is more on the marketing side of this. How do you feel you could engage the community to use this? This is
to create money, not to donate on this.
To donate on this, to use this platform
To look at this site.
to go in at the very time. You know?
Yeah.
So, what's your plan around this, or how do you think would be challenged?
So we think that the fact that this is using Bitcoins is actually going to create some extra noise. There is no other site of this characteristics, like giving coronavirus or money giving, that uses only Bitcoins. Now, we're not saying that Bitcoins is the way forward, but we are saying that Bitcoins is the only way forward to get rid of all those extra fees that PayPal or other payment methods charge. So that's already something positive, not only for the NGOs, but for the donors. If I'm donating €20, I would rather know that those €20 are going to expire and not be only keeping €5.
I think what's also interesting is that for me to get 100 people to go to the Inspire website, I have to speak to 100 people. If I use a platform where 100 people out there that are already spoken to are talking each to 100 people, then I'm going to create a wave of a cascade effect of people that are going to come eventually to the donation side of I'm going to donate €1.
So that means you speak to the NGOs and tell them to the
NGOs will market it, but they will market it to their friends. And their friends will market it. So if I'm going to do the half marathon next week or whatever, and I want all my friends to raise money for the charity that I care for, I am the only person speaking to the charity. But the charity is getting me to get 100 of my friends to donate without having to speak to them directly and market to them directly.
So maybe just by claiming you can get that sort of an idea.
No, I want to do the brand.
You do the brand on itself.
But when you go in and the health command is raising there, we might want to have the Inspire logo to put it more used to the channel.
And on the flip side to that is you might be afraid that people might go to the site and then realize that I better give the money to cure cancer rather than.
Absolutely.
So there is there. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was my concern, is where if I'm interested in Inspire, I go to the Inspire donation site, which will be sent to this. There shouldn't be a drop-down menu.
No.
No, it should just be for Inspire.
In this one, yes.
Yeah.
But that's because you select an NGO to give to, because you know who you're going to give to.
That's right.
But if you're going to give to your mate, who's having a fundraising event, or he's running a marathon or whatever, you don't even really know who he's raising funds for. Just he's a good guy and some money. So he goes on his page, it's the individual page. But then his page is locked to the wallet of Inspire, and money goes to
Right.
Okay.
I still have a problem with Bitcoin. I mean, their reputation with Bitcoin is still questionable. You know, everything associated with it. That's my concern. Is that you've got this thing called Bitcoin that I think the world is still got a lot of questions about who's running it, how does it work, whether it's an organization that's designed for good.
The nice thing about Bitcoin is no one is running it.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think the bad reputation
both the good thing and the bad thing about it.
it probably comes from Silk Road. No, I think that's
Yeah, that's a big comes from people, but you can see in the US a lot of startups are their focus is on Bitcoin.
Absolutely.
So they have focus on companies.
I mean, it's great. I think it's going to be a great platform for making money. But but for making money all kinds of different ways. And so that's my big concern is actually just the connection with Bitcoin and its reputational.
I would rather if we could say something, you know, I would rather see Bitcoin as a method and, you know, something that is both good for the NGO and for the donor in terms of having to pay extra fees. That's it. I mean, there's really no risk, you know, obviously this is not involved with Bitcoin being any kind of like dark currency or anything. It's just a method through which.
And that's why the NGO verification he arrived. Then, so the chapter is closed. Next time you got stuck to Bitcoin. Yeah. That's one thing. Just one thing, I mean, again, looking at the points you have to be there. And the team, you mentioned you two of you, and you had some help from some other people. How do you see this? Okay, there's some more work to do. And
Yes.
For the you did a lot, but how do you see this implemented? So what would be the plan?
I think the question was, it's like,
clearly Malta needs something like this. So we would think that as a test base, we could launch here and use the local scene to test it
Yes,
out.
actually, I was more now, not because you know you spoke before, and I know your business plan and that's different companies, but that's more about from your team. Because this is what we're judging now, right? It's you as a team, and the idea. Are you able to implement this? And
yes, no,
there's no this case. What are your challenges? What is your plan to basically come back with a finished solution to make it?
there are not. So the ideas for software, I don't think they're anything can take like anything and anything can be implemented. It's just need time. I think our first step is to meet with Matt and agree on the priorities, and then talk to his contacts and you'll see if they're interested in this, try it out, talk with others.
So you're first planning a prototype, and then
This is already a prototype. It's already
it's
on the internet, and people are already creating a console actually, trying to hacking it.
In terms of next steps, I guess reaching out to as many NGOs as possible to see if they would like to support the project. Alternatively, investors, why not? But they could also support financially to set up the page and hopefully get those time paid.
Exactly. This is what I was asking. Not the whole process, but from a development perspective of building it and maintaining the system.
I can do this in my free time. Like it's not our free time. I think
So two people commented to this.
Yes, unless something happens to me, I get in the hospital or something.
No, it's okay. I mean, I'm just seeing what the plan is. I mean,
for me, it's not experience.
From here.
Yeah, I mean, from my side, get moving, see if we can get any support from NGOs to help donate investors.
My only worry is, my only worry was for this presentation is ownership. Who's going to own this thing? Who's going to decide on the price of it? And apparently, he's very interested on this, so he's there, and we agree with the price.
He's got
So he owns the product. So we had to realize this.
You inspired.
No, I never heard of that. I know it's only going to council, so for us, it's something we can roll out across for it. The value of this is that we will have everything checked in multiple considers and keep it overseen.
Right.
and it could be run separate entity, right?
Yeah. No, because this is crucial in gaining the trust.
It'd be nice also if you could, this is something for later, is if you could actually demonstrate the impact of the donations.
The impact, yeah.
So if you could say, look, you know, we've raised, we've raised €1,000,
That was the
and
idea.
I got there, this week, a mother was able to
Yeah, you can
go on to work,
No, this is
and get a job,
just in time,
you know, this sort of thing, yeah.
Yeah, but that's the kind of
Yeah. So yeah, that was the idea. That is the part of the roadmap.
Yeah. Thank you.
Alright, well done. Well, next up is Lifeline by Joseph, Clive, and some help from Clayton as well, and some help from Fiona who works for her, but who also works for an organization with social benefits. After they're going to make a presentation and then followed by a demonstration. After which we'll show the judges in the room where no access to them. Exactly. And we'll see the winner of this competition. I got it ready. Yes. I'm going to start with the presentation. Lifeline. Those are so yours.
So, I'm Joseph, Clive, and Clayton. We all work with this, and even some help, some, problem. Basically, this is our, just to give a taste. Okay. So, the problem is there are people that are fleeing, getting away from conflicts, wars, etc. To see better opportunities, basically running away from bad situations. And also they want to find protection. So they're losing touch with family and friends. An example is imagine losing your wife or children because you have to leave the country to save life. Or the other way around, sending your children away, not because you don't want them, it's only because you don't want them to get killed or get something bad happens to them. Tracing currently is done manually by NGOs. It's very costly and not effective at all. It's not effective. It's time consuming because a lot of papers, so it's not effective. So our solution, we need something to connect each other. We believe in having an anonymous identity on the web, not like Facebook, Twitter, it's anonymous, just an ID. After creating the account, connect with family, connect with friends. Allow refugees to get key information in a simpler, quicker, cheaper way than ever before. NGOs are more efficient because they have a system that is doing it and they don't have to take care of it themselves. So how it works? You register on the website and you're given a number, a four-digit number and a four-alphabet number. So it's more complicated, but it's easier to remember. You pinpoint your location, just by pressing the button. You pinpoint your current location where you are, and that's it. You're not tracked where you go, or the way you're going, just where you were. Then, when you arrive in a destination, you just unclick. So there was a transition period. It saves the date, the time, etc. So you know that you were, for example, in Libya, you arrived in Malta. You make contact with family and friends. How? You know their ID, you just enter their ID and your ID from the website, and you send them a friend request, sort of, but without knowing who the person is. But you've got their ID. Maybe you ask, how do you get the ID? You cannot search for this person. The network that we got to know sort of as a group, it's very complex between sort of these asylum seekers and refugees. They get to know a lot of things, they know a lot of things about each other, and they do it themselves, they track themselves sort of out. So by word of mouth, they can get the tracking number. Some sort of communication they will try to do. Obviously, the other person will approve or decline the friend request. This is safe, and after, let's say it's approved. If it's declined, you see nothing. But if you approve it, but if the other person approves it, your friend or family, you will follow the journey from the day you have accepted the invitation. And after some time, or immediately, you can block them from the person. So potential use. It's not only for asylum seekers and refugees, sort of just to know where the other person is, but it can gather data, so you know what the age group is, who's leaving from where they're arriving, what nationality, etc. Can be used by NGOs to provide refugees with an online form for family tracing, empowerment even to the refugee themselves. Instead of being able to ask the NGOs, they can do it themselves. With the data set, you can analyze and share it for future reference. You're not sharing anything personal, just you're sharing the locations and the age groups. So you get statistics, so you know what's happening. You reunite family and reunite.
Okay, so I'm in Syria. I want to leave. I'm going to leave my family because I'm going to try and find a better life in Malta. How do I find out about this? I mean, this is my question. I mean, because I need to come up with that passcode before I leave and use it, right? So you need to.
You need internet access, yes.
Well, you don't even need internet. All you have to do is talk to your family and say, look, this is giving me our code. You don't even need a computer. You just have to know that you need to come up with a code.
But you need a code. The system generates a code for you. Sorry.
Okay.
The system generates. Let's do the demonstration. Let's do the demonstration.
Access with a card.
Enter your code that you received and your password.
Basically, here what we see is this person has asked, sort of, he tagged it as his wife, but it's originally a code because he changed it. That's the code, but he sort of pointed that it's his wife. And he knows the locations. There are the history, where the person was and where the person is. I don't know the kind of things. These were the friends. And the request, for example, is going to make a request to ask another person. These are the requests that that client received. Received from 7548 and 3313, and can accept or reject or decline the. Start log off and log in for a new user, so that they see the generated code.
You need to first register with the website. So to do this,
Because here, so
So to register, you have the register link. All you need a password, the age,
And the email is not necessary to put it.
the email is just there.
It may be useful for future purposes to actually include gender as well. So that statistically you can generate
In fact, the code is
more
information.
I work higher.
So this is the generated code. It's unique for every person, and he saves just. He has to give the code, obviously. You have to memorize the code.
But if you have your email, it will send you the code for
Exactly.
So
So
you
you
have four days.
to save it for me. Request a friend with 1, 2, 3, 4 or someone else. Or log off and go on 1, 2, 3, 4 and sort of
use this one. So I'm searching for my husband.
I see the sleepless nights.
I add the friend ID, the husband ID, and I can add a comment. So he knows that it's really me. For example, you can add a comment, maybe or something.
That happens together, sort of remember the particular place or something, so that you can sort of.
Or something more.
No, look on my.
You've been very close in your group, haven't you?
They were asleep night. If you go on the requests,
Open.
oh, that's okay. Let me check my name correctly.
1, 2, 3, 4.
I mean, we understand it's too like, so don't. It's okay.
It doesn't need to work.
Okay.
No, because it was working.
I want to show you.
We have to answer that question in the sense of the institutional sense, the organizational sense. So normally when there is an emergency, humanitarian emergency, say for example Syria, people would cross the border, for example to Jordan, and there would be an agency there providing immediate relief.
Yeah.
That organization could also be helping people to set up this code
Yes.
and giving them that code in case something happens and they do separate from their family members or whatever. And that would facilitate the whole tracing process globally, not just in that particular emergency situation.
Actually, what came to mind is, would it be possible if they send the code to an SMS to some number or something like that?
That's what I.
That's what Facebook where you are. This number.
Because it's a future thing you can do is they could just send an SMS with their with my ID, with my ID, with my password, because we have to know that it's you who it's the person who is searching for him. It's the
Authenticating the person that is.
we can do another thing though. So my ID, my password and his user ID. Then from the server, it checks that my ID and my password match, and it will get his location if he checked in. And then when I receive his location and the date, so that if you check in another date, you will know that he's still there. So that's you don't need an internet, and we can also do it. It's possible that we send to a number, to a mobile number or another number. And what it does, I can register from there. So I just send a blank SMS. It will store my number as the password, for example, and I will receive a user ID. When I want to search for him, for example, again I can send an SMS with his user ID, and it will come with mobile number.
it will know that it's the person I am, it's me who searched for him, and it will notify him. He can make a request from the mobile or from the website, and you can continue. Maybe you will be notified by SMS. So it doesn't need to be on the web. You just need that phone. It's possible.
And also there is the here now when you press it, so it saves the current location. Right. Obviously we're on Malta, and you can open one. An existing one.
It's working.
Don't sound so surprised.
No, I thought it's working. That's why I'm waiting for it. It's working. And then you can do it on the map. Okay. Post nothing else.
And also get a small application on the mobile, which sort of it's a very minimal version of it. Some here. Obviously it is on the Windows. But it's an API.
What's the issue now? What are the NGOs do now to try and track family members?
It's a lot of manual work. It's very laborious, and people are actually going to unknown places to try to investigate where the person is last seen, tracing genealogy, all sorts of very manual and physical kind of on the ground work, which is not always fruitful, honestly.
Alright, because the models are the inside. Okay.
Recently there was the Medusa tragedy, and there were parents in Sicily and children in Malta, and caseworkers in Malta which had to physically travel to Sicily to try to identify the parents through and give them pictures of the kids to see if they were actually their kids. They had to show them pictures of unfortunately dead kids as well, and it was horrific. If there is something like this, try to alleviate some of that, those issues and costs as well, then the impact on the NGOs would be quite significant.
And also,
it's really easy to see how you can actually benefit from using this application as an NGO in some emergency where you have to put up emergency camps and collect all these refugees before you ship them off somewhere else. You register them as groups, and then you track them from there. So when they arrive, you know that they are actually gone the distance.
And the family members join them later in the camp. Well, my uncle told me that my dad might be here, and the NGO would be able to say, well, yes, we can track him through this because he's been through here and we have this information.
but they have to know the ID of the person. So
Yes.
That's what there's a legal angle to this as well. When refugees arrive in many countries, at least in Denmark, they are registered in the port of the airport, and then they're basically given money to go to this camp close to the German border. Like 90% of the refugees we receive like that, they never show up. And it would be a huge time saver for the Danish authorities if they could actually tell these people, this is your code when you arrive at this center in 6 hours' time. Please tell the administration there, this is your number. Because it would be so easy for them to see who do not show up. So all the logistical parts from A to B, all of that could be made into an administrative solution.
Yes,
which is not to be seen here.
But of course, this is more for social good rather than authorities track.
Yes. Yes. Because otherwise,
That's why.
And people wouldn't use it.
Yes.
So.
Because if that's the key, why not use Facebook? Exactly. You want everyone to know where you are. You might use Facebook.
That's what was the
I want to know you, but I don't want the authorities to know.
Exactly. At least we have statistics.
statistics are there just for information. And the fact we're talking, there's no need to know exactly who on the day, how many people arrived in Malta, where did they leave from, but it can be like a month old data, sort of
And you're giving it the next level of comfort because you're only using the code. You're not.
Exactly.
In no way I found like Edward Portel.
No.
So there's no way for me
The only thing
somebody
the gender would be good for statistic purposes, but it's there, but it's not.
Even the email. The email is not is optional. But if you don't enter your email, you have to remember your code. The email is just there so that you have your code saved in your email. Which when you do an email, you can embed anything. So you can create a fake email and you can use it for storing your user ID.
Also, we were talking about before showing this. Instead of, because we had in mind also to put as the, for example, I'm a father of 2 children, and I apply for my ID and I apply for my children's ID, and I put the children as that have a guardian, and you have the guardian would be with the ID of the father who puts obviously or puts it himself or the children puts it. But that's sort of we were discussing, and we came up with the idea sort of to have, instead of registering as one user, you can register one user with 1, 2, 3 guardians out of 3 children. So something, you have 3 children and you want to send them away, sort of you have your code, but your children have theirs. So and you're immediately tracking each other, obviously with all the blocking stuff. And obviously you have to accept them, but with future.
That's something that you can log in. And all you have is just a button to locate yourself, to pinpoint yourself.
In fact, we mentioned it's pinpoint,
not located.
not perfect, just.
And you'll have
Why not everyone that you're hooked up with?
Sorry? Yes.
Why
we
there
can.
should be 2 buttons, right?
Yes, this is
And where are the others?
Yeah.
Yes.
Fill that prototype.
It had to be something like this.
But we had an issue with the data.
It had to be something like this. But
right.
the data, so you have your contacts, your friends, your profile, your ID,
Right.
and then to make the
request.
here
To
track your location.
Yes.
On a simpler version.
So that will be in the works as well.
But the way we built it is sort of the API is just can be used by everyone.
And then,
But you need this family registration that you mentioned. As a family of 6 would generate 36 requests that you would have to confirm. You have to log in 6 times.
Exactly.
So you have to do it in one go.
Exactly.
a suggestion which you said, I think so. That you create a code yourself. A family code, good. A family code. Everyone knows it.
Everyone shares it. Same.
Shares it, and you don't need to register.
No, you don't need to have a computer because I'm thinking, okay, I'm in Syria, there's no internet connection, and I gotta get out of here. And I say, okay, our code now is 124 ABCD, and everybody knows that. And they say, okay, the next time I'm at a computer, I'm gonna check my phone, I'm gonna find out where my father is. Because I know
the issue would be, for
example,
example,
so many will choose 1, 2, 3, 4.
It has to be unique. It has to be unique. Yes.
It has to be something
that's
when you register now.
Yes.
I would have dinner with an Iranian family.
When you register, you should put in your number.
Which sounds really nice.
But it can be. Yes.
because we didn't want that, for example, given my passwords, then like, you put your date of birth, you put it, so it's completely, in fact, we wanted to put 4 random words, I-U-A-G. They don't make sense, so it's easy to remember. But we said, let's put
What we were thinking about as well, instead of using numbers, we would make, for example, pictures. For example, 4 pictures. 3, car, 3. for example. So it will be easier. It will be easier.
How easy is it? Because this would be nice if you had this engaged in Libya or where these guys start off their journey.
Yeah.
Is there any way this could be?
Actually, the journey starts from
Persons from
far away.
Mali, it is getting marketed by the NGOs.
Are there NGOs working in those areas where they like supporting, I don't know, maybe the countries where there's war?
Obviously, you need to monitor the human traffic, right?
That was what I was thinking.
They are
Guys
real
that are
customers.
on the boats, they should really be telling them about this. You know, that's important. Yeah.
It is a security issue.
Yeah. You know, you're going to do one decent thing today. Tell them about this service.
You're participating in slavery. Please inform your slaves that there is a webpage.
Fantastic.
It's reaching them also. It's a problem. But the countries, they're probably being kicked out from the country, right? That's absolutely
But raising the awareness, I don't find it an issue because the power of the speech in the communication, it's to tell someone about something when it's something good. It spreads quite fast. I was speaking to refugees, for example, and he has contacts in his country. How do you contact this person? How do you contact your mother? He doesn't tell because there are sort of, he sends money. How does money arrive? Sort of, it arrives. So,
They got like a network.
a network, it's incredible. And I had read the book, What is the What? What is the What is called? And
What is the What?
What is the What? And it's about a person that sort of the start of the journey till the end, sort of like 20 years past, but it's incredible how they get to know things, sort of police are coming, so if you want to get to know, you get to know. That's
Yeah, so this is a quicker way. Because eventually they'll find out how the family is, but it could take a month, right? Yeah.
exactly understood.
Yeah.
And not everyone wants to use
They
it.
did NGOs in Malta, for example. The market. The Libyans or the Syrians that live in Malta, they would tell their families about it, and
That's why it's network communication and how we pass it on.
so it doesn't have to be marketed in their country.
okay.
Something that you did you want to mention about the information, access to legal assistance, and
Exactly. Right. Because on the website also we did a page about the sort of where can you get help. We didn't just we listed some like UNHCR, IOM, the basic sort of that we know about. But the NGOs, the organizations can subscribe. Our idea issue was what that sort of the organizations subscribe with the information, sort of a logo, details, contact details, and depends from where, for example, in Malta, we choose Malta and list of organizations come up where I can get help. And there is a search, for example, child abuse, and sort of the list of, we thought about this thing, but this we wanted to do, but then we said
the idea is to be able to trace your family. So the end result would be family reunification. And because obviously there are different laws in place governing family reunification between different sovereign states, it can become very complicated. So people would want to access information. How
to know
can
what's
I
legal, what's
identify
illegal,
my family?
exactly.
Where do I go to get this information? Where can I get legal assistance from?
Right.
How do I make the application?
This can be directly with countries.
Exactly. Our initial idea was to do, for example, a list of countries, Malta, the list of this come up,
Where you can get help.
and they can enter the data themselves. The email, the telephone number, address, and the address of the particular country. It's a lot of information they need to put in, obviously.
But
And also, what's anonymous about it is that these organizations cannot search the database. They can help the user search for his for his family.
And also get statistics in the way, as I said before, nothing that you cannot get personal stuff because you want to report it on these objects.
Right.
So you cannot. I don't know.
It's really not. Which NGOs are you targeting? Mass execution and.
My wife works not with an NGO, with an organization, and sort of I am in volunteer and sort of we're talking like having fun, sort of we're talking about problems there are sort of, but not particular NGO. There is no particular.
Do you have anyone in mind that would be you?
The International Red Cross is very active in family tracing. UNHCR does a lot of work in depending on the country, helps with family tracing. But I think only Red Cross to do this.
Sort of we spoke about it, sort of we were just chatting, and then we came to India. Then just like for good, and sort of then we met up, and sort of we got it like we got the idea out, sort of.
Yeah. I really like it.
It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. Because you don't need that many cell phones.
No.
As long as it's easy to log in, I mean, anybody can do it.
Yeah, you've already sent a cell phone.
Yeah, it only takes a second.
Yeah.
And it's not very costly. It's just a little bit of data that's being transmitted. So,
Yeah.
This is cool.
Yeah, it's really great.
It's a very stable solution. The requirements are so low. It's so little information that needs to be submitted. It's not complicated in any way.
No, it's really simple.
It's really simple.
You are limited in the way sort of you cannot help more, and you cannot help sort of person to track another person because not like the point because you don't know nothing about the person.
But the thing that you need to have easy access to the applications. You can get the application onto the cell phone that you can borrow or that you have.
Exactly.
And you need to have an easy
If you can make
internet
it
address so you can
Find the application.
This is three words. Your user ID. You have to have the password. As if you borrow someone else's phone.
That's the case.
You need to log in, otherwise it doesn't make any sense.
So that's your user ID, my password, and his user
The
ID.
same for the SMS.
For the SMS phone.
My only concern is maybe when these things happen already in the rush, they're in no way planning to leave.
They are.
And how would you actually?
According to what I read and what sort of the stuff, especially that book, sometimes it is in a rush, yes. No, we have to leave everything and just leave. But sometimes it is sort of, you know something is going to happen, so you're going to leave. You know it's coming, so sort of it's not like war starts from today's Sunday, tomorrow there's a war in the morning. So you know there's something going on. You can log in like 2 years before and never use it.
Again, with the SMS thing, you can register from it. You can get your user ID. So you just need,
I think
while you're on the way, you can just connect with each other.
I think it will depend on the individual and the scenario. You can't say, whether you leave, you have to leave immediately or whether you have to, whether it's planned. It's not always that simple to make a distinction. But the idea of having maybe the organization and the receiving country being able to facilitate that would solve that issue. If it's a very immediate crisis and people are forced to flee immediately, the receiving country would be able to facilitate the information.
Knowing the code, you can read the code.
So they can find
You only need that. You only need your own phone.
You
only need your own phone.
Yes.
Yes, but it comes with its own issues. Obviously, with anonymity and security. Refugees, the whole point of it.
But for example,
Refugees
we
who
have
are
work,
fleeing persecution. So someone is trying to find.
use the SMS thing.
So that's
I
the issue
don't
as
need my
well.
number, everyone is their
Refugees
user
use
ID.
Facebook, maybe
But also there are some
name, try to keep it as anonymous as possible, but obviously that's difficult on Facebook. And other social media.
Yeah, about this SMS app. We were discussing it sort of. We're just discussing it sort of totally opposite in his mind. Everything that I was like,
No, seriously, you see this if there is like unrest in other countries, something is going. Information about the solution needs to be out there, right? Yes. So it would be on any given Sunday evening during dinner, the head of the family will tell the president, we express this, and I'm going to give you one number. And it's really important that you remember this number. Then basically they are set.
Yeah.
Now they have an entire network helping them. They have the information available no matter where they end up. There will be contact information, one would hope, right? No matter where you end up, you will have a phone number that you can call. So it's no longer so dangerous to lose track of the other guys. I mean, they put on 2 different boats or whatever.
Yeah.
This is cool.
I think it's really good. One last question for my end about execution. Just run through the team. Who are you? Who's the team? And what's your
I'm fucking fine.
I know your background, like, I think you are the programmers for sure.
Yes.
They'd be stupid if they didn't. And yes.
I'm Kenyan, I'm a developer too, but I want to thank these guys because they had more time to work on.
But they put the infrastructure.
Yes, I will.
Then we
for the mobile.
exactly.
In the backend.
So you're all 3 programmers.
Yes.
But you're linked to someone who's linked to the
So my work.
and in the NGO. Basically, to see what is the team able to execute on.
We'll manage for another person.
I'm not sure but
There would need to be more research as to what's currently available, and obviously it takes a lot of time to
within the exercise what that is available. I'm sure there's
Capabilities.
similar. But within research there's something. Within we just sort of discuss what would be good to do.
There's a program response.
We're done licensing as well. So you guys are gonna go on a separate room.
Yeah,
In the meantime, Kev, we might see what